the activity. That's very, very, very important. The other aspect that comes up in this is, if there is some conflict, how am I going to deal with it? Is this the time of year to really try to sort out some of those unresolved issues that often hover within the context of the family? And my answer is that this is not a good time to do that. My view is that it's not a good time to do that because in most situations, a lot of stuff's fueled by alcohol. And that brings me to another issue, which is that for a lot of people, the holiday season, Christmas, represents a period of excess. We give ourselves permission to eat, drink, and be merry. Except sometimes the merry gets compromised because we're drunk. This is a period of time when we probably should be best focused on moderation. Take it easy. Not just with the food, but definitely with the booze and other things, if they should present themselves. A lot of this period requires actually quite a clear mind, quite a clear head. Now, I'm not saying we should be, monastic in our approach to this, but it is reasonable to suggest that we just need to be a bit moderate. Enjoying drinks is not a problem, because I can tell you from watching and working with people, being drunk represents a definite lack of enjoyment. Ultimately, the piper needs to be paid. And so that's really, really important to keep in mind. It is one of those things that we often lose sight of, though. And then we have to deal with the consequences, the repercussions of not just our behaviour, but other people's behaviour as well. So in that whole process, begin to think about what this period is really about. And as I hinted before, this period is about who I am, who we are, and what the values are that we want to live by. And it's, not just for those people who are religious, but for all of us in the community. These are overarching principles of kindness, generosity, compassion, tolerance. To have an optimistic view of each other and potentially the future. Right, we're going to be going into a new year. Now, optimistically, hopefully, this is going to be a better new year than it was last year. All right, we started off with a bit of a bang after we came out of lockdown, but it soon turned pear-shaped. There was a perfect storm brewing on the horizon, and some of us got caught off guard because we were just that bit too optimistic. So let's balance that optimism with some realism. One of the things that I suggest to a lot of my clients is I think it might be better to steer away from New Year's resolutions. Most of the time, we don't actually stick to them anyway. So why torture ourselves with this one point in time where we make this seeming commitment to something that is either desirable but not necessarily realistic, and we generally don't have a clear idea about how we're going to tackle it. And again, from here to there, that is from this period of midway through December to the beginning of January, we're making decisions based on a lot of pressure and a lot of unstructured ideas, right, that seem really good in the moment, but in when we get right into it, we're not really committed to it. So unless you're absolutely 100% sure that it is firstly what you want, that you've got the motivation to do it, and that you will commit to it, avoid it. The regrets, the guilt, and often the shame that comes from not following through isn't worth the effort. You're better off just going, let's just take one step at a time. Let's just see a bit of a change in my lifestyle that might make me a bit healthier, body and mind. Right? So we need to keep on going from that perspective. So think about anything else that you'd want to throw in there. And I'm going to leave it to your imagination because all of us have different coping strategies. Right? But it is a good time to sit back, individually reflect. What are my values? How do I articulate them into my life? How are those values and my behaviour affecting others? Am I really operating as the person that I want to be? Or is this a period of time where I'm actually deteriorating into, as Jung puts it, the shadow side? Do I suddenly become Darth Vader, Machiavellian, difficult to be around, or the grumpy old man, or, the bear with a sore tooth, simply because this is a tough period of time? It should be a period where we gather together. It's not just in the idea of Christmas, but Yuletide, in the Northern Hemisphere, it was coming together in the depth of winter to celebrate light. Isn't that part of what we're trying to do? Is whether you are Christian or whether you are of another religion, is using these holidays in a way that brings us together and hopefully should draw from us our better nature and our better consciousness, our social consciousness. So if you're going to give, don't just make it an expensive present, but make it something that's meaningful for somebody that you're giving that present to. Now, some people will say, don't give me anything material. Maybe give me, a goat, where you buy a card and then buying that card, you're sponsoring a goat in Africa or in Ethiopia or somewhere. If that's what they want, that's what they want. I wouldn't necessarily then go out and buy them a $10,000 diamond ring. That's probably not going to resonate well with them. So be thoughtful in this period of time, not just of your needs, but also the needs of others. And it is particularly the case with children. I mean, a lot of little kids are going to get dragged around geographically to a lot of different places. So remember, they are not necessarily going to be happy campers. Some of them are going to be quite irritable, and they're going to make stuff difficult. Remember, it wasn't their choice to travel 50 kilometres in one day from one meal to the next to meet uncles, aunties, da-da-da-da-da. They're coming along because this is what mum and dad are doing. And yes, the benefit is that we get attention, we get some nice food, but that doesn't mean they're going to be on their best behaviour. So give them a little bit of a break. Now, elderly people are often going to be really reflective in this particular period of time. They will have lost some of their friends, some of their family. And when we take them in, when we bring them together into the fold of the family and friends, let's be conscious that for them this period may also be one of grief and not just joy, and see whether we can lighten the load for them by being there for them. And yes, you might have heard that story for the 50th time. Don't try to. So on that note, I just thought I'd leave you with those few thoughts for this holiday season. Please think about it, and hopefully you will have a better one than you might have otherwise had. Until next time, this is me signing off.
Thank you for listening to Inspire Change with Gunter. Gunter Swoboda does individual and group coaching for men looking to grow. For more information on this and the global Making Good Men Great movement, check out goodmengreat.com to get into contact. If you have a topic for the show or would like to be a guest on the air, please email producers at miranda@noirtainment.com. That's Miranda, Miranda, @ Noirtainment, NOIRTAINMENT.com. Thank you, and always keep inspiring change.